And we got about 30 seconds.
Gracias.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board. Glad to have you along here on a Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is
Hump Day.
That's right. Here we are halfway through the weekend. Really, Zommers. Really, by the way, it's 6 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. Welcome in, everybody. Mostly sunny skies downtown Madison at the world headquarters here on State Street. Zommers, it really feels in a way like this is Friday to me because the next couple of days really aren't work at all because we're going to be at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair with our friend, our colleague, the host of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, Mr. Pat Kreitlow, who joins us from beautiful Lake Wissota.
And is currently muted.
And is currently muted. Don't put Pat in a corner.
Don't trust him with technology either. If you think that going to the Northern Wisconsin State Fair and working a shift there isn't work, you apparently did not see the barn schedule. I didn't. I put you down for a few shifts there, and the shovel will be waiting. So,
hey, if there's anything I'm good at, it's shoveling manure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's gonna
Tony
be a lot
on
of fun.
YouTube, it is. Tony says, "Where's Trigby? He's missing the guy he idolized on TV growing up."
Shut up, Tony.
Wow,
Jeez.
Tony filling in for Mr.
Coming off the top
Olsen.
rope real early in the show here, Tony.
Right? No, Trigby is he's traveling. He's in high demand, so he's supposed to be getting to O'Hare. He thinks he's going to join us before the end of this half hour. I have my doubts.
It
See.
depends on where the private jets do they get priority as he comes in. I don't know.
He does not own one, but the funny thing is he occasionally does travel by private jet.
And I like how he phrases that as occasionally. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, Patrick, I'm truly excited. We're going to be up at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair tomorrow and Friday. And here's how good a broadcaster, how good a friend Pat Kreitlow is. He does his 3 hours of fine entertainment and news from 6 until 9 a.m. And then he has the courtesy, the kindness to come over and join us for a couple hours the next 2 days. Just thank you very much for doing this, Pat.
It's what a good host is supposed to do. And I love the fair. I've lived here now in Chippewa for 30 years and love the fair every year going there. It's one of those where it's not too big. It's not too small. It's got two beer gardens in case in case you don't like somebody at the one, you can go to the other, and somebody else will give you the stink eye. But no, good entertainment, wide variety of food. You got your animals, you got your rides, and the thing that really won me over when I moved here was something you can't see at your big old state fairs. You see the blue ribbons for the animals and things like that, but there's a building just devoted to the schools in Chippewa County, and it's just kids' artwork, kids' projects, all kinds of kid-related things in that little building, and it's just adorable knowing that your kids could be in that building with their stuff, and I'm pretty sure mine were at some point here, but it's just it's very community-oriented, and it's something I'm looking forward to having you see again.
Yeah, we had a ball up there last year. Trigby was with me. We stopped and did this last year with Pat for 1 day. And so this year we get to be there for 2 days. Looking forward to it. Thanks to Pat.
Wait.
What?
Is Trigby coming?
Would that be some of you is flying out here? I think he's just going to be in Chicago. But wouldn't that be cool if he was driving up here?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd gas up the pontoon and everything here.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that.
Right. All right.
We'll
fine.
see. Maybe we can strong arm him to come in. But many thanks to you, Pat. We're going to have Rusty Volk. Now, he was fantastic. He was on last year. He is the director of the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. He will be joining us tomorrow at the top of the show. And then we're also going to have, for guests tomorrow, we are going to have Eric Anderson, who is the director of the U.S. Coob Championship and editor of Coob Nation magazine. This is a big deal. And then the national championships are in Eau Claire this weekend, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other game where you can throw lumber at each other.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to, I guess. But nope, it's a very, very popular game around here. So I'm not a bit surprised that you've got the World Championships.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Then on Friday, we have BJ Hollers, a great filmmaker. He did that great documentary on the Uniroyal plant closing in Eau Claire. We were up there for the world premiere last year. And he's going to be back on the show on Friday. He has a new upcoming documentary on, guess what? Coob. And so that'll be fun. And also author Ken Szymanski, who is an educator in the Eau Claire Public School District. He is going to be out. He has a brand new book coming out in part on the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. So we have all those great guests. Plus, Pat and I are going to sample some fair food. Not great food, not bad food, just fair food.
No.
And
It's all great fair food. It's great fair food.
And then we're going to, my goal this year, and my lovely and talented sister who you met, Heather, is going to be our on-site producer once again. I'm hoping to get into the show barns because my goal this year, Pat, is to get a young 4-H'er or somebody with a small animal. It could be a rabbit, could be a rooster, could be a chicken. I don't care, because hilarity, as you know, as the seasoned broadcaster that you are, hilarity ensues when you're live on the air with animals and kids.
All right, we're going to check the rules first to make sure that the building where we're in will allow wild varmints like that to come on in, or domesticated, farm animals, as the case may be.
Well, they're letting me in. So.
Yeah, like I said, varmints. So we'll see what the rules are, and make sure that you can, on live radio, kids, be listening as Todd Allbaugh becomes the first radio host ever bitten by a bunny rabbit live on air.
Oh, so wouldn't that be something?
Yes, or some other blue
I could
ribbon
call
animal.
the doctor and get a rabies shot live on the air.
That's right. Yeah.
I'll do anything for a bit. So,
Yes, you will. Yep. So Todd meets an animal coming up this week at the fair.
Sounds like my last date. But anyway, it's going to be a good time had by all at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. So join Pat and I to the next 2 days from beautiful Chippewa Valley, from Chippewa Falls at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. Not everybody is listening to us on the network right now, Pat, because on several of our stations, as you well know, the Brewers are taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers on many of our stations in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. Wow, the Miz once again last night, big win.
Oh,
exciting! 2 big wins over the world champion defending Dodgers at AmFam Field.
It was just so great watching him, especially at the very start of the game when Mizorowski's up there and the first batter to face is Shohei Ohtani, and strike one and strike two, and you're already getting excited. And he throws that 0-2 pitch, and Shohei says, "Welcome to the bigs, Jacob Mizorowski," as I launched this thing 431 feet. But that was it. Then he settled it. He struck out the next 5 Dodgers in a row. 6 shutout innings. He's insanely good and so much fun to watch.
Fun time to be a Brewer fan for sure. Lots of news to get to here. I thought we might start with this from the old Huffington Post headline: GOP representative weirdly lies about helping save his state survive the Medicaid cut he voted for.
Yes.
I know you talked about it on Mornings with Pat Kreitlow this morning. I've been following this, but in brief, you can look up the story on Huffington Post. But our old friend, I say this tongue-in-cheek, Derek Van Orden, Congressman Derek Van Orden from the 3rd Congressional District, he's making a big deal in a post from Friday where he complained that a PBS story about Wisconsin state legislators racing to pass their budget to secure the extra funding, quote, failed to mention that we worked seamlessly with the state governor to get this done, unquote. And he goes on, the same day he accused Evers of telling, quote, a flat out lie, unquote, about Republicans in Congress selling out families to pay for tax cuts for the rich. So basically, I think you've talked about in your show, Pat, we've talked about here, State legislators, the governor, got the budget deal done for the state. We can argue that one way or the other, but they had to beat the clock before the national budget was passed and signed. Otherwise, Wisconsin would have lost out on $1 billion, according to State Senator Kelder Royce. And so Evers sent this perfunctory letter, and he has a copy of it, to Governor Evers saying you need to do this, and then he votes against this.
Well, of course. I mean, this is what he does. Derek Van Orden has not been involved in politics very long. You and I have been involved a lot longer, and we have seen what he's doing here. He's doing things that, rookies do, and that is trying to have it both ways and honestly believe in your heart of hearts that you are able to have it both ways and that everybody believes you when you try to have it both ways. When you say, I am absolutely for this budget. It makes these necessary reforms to Medicaid. It's going to slash and burn Medicaid, but that's okay. We need to cut this. And then write a letter that says, hey, Governor, I know I'm voting for this bill, but boy, there's a big stink bomb in there for you. I just wanted to warn you. Okay, we're buddies, right? And then come back out and rip Evers some. So, yep, classic, trying to have it both ways politician. Welcome to the bigs, Derek Van Orden.
And I'll clarify my own word. When I said he voted against, I meant he voted against the interests of the state. So he voted for Trump's bill.
I knew what you meant.
Which was I know, but some of their listeners, they don't understand my weirdness like you do, Pat, because you've hung around me. God love you. Probably too much for your liking, but I love it. I enjoy it.
It's okay. It's a contractual obligation, but I fulfill it. It's all right.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So I think this is just interesting because, and Trigby said this before last couple of weeks, I really think that Derek Van Orden is politically worried for his future. I think he looks at what's going on right now in this country, as you've talked about on your show, what this budget actually means for people in Wisconsin. There are going to be people that have loved ones who are not going to be in nursing homes anymore. There are going to be people that don't have health care anymore. I think it was Senator Bernie Sanders. What was it? 276,000 plus Wisconsinites are going to now lose health care coverage. As we say back in Richland Center, where I'm from, something ain't quite right about this guy, Derek Van Orden.
Well, the thing that he could really learn from the rest of the Republican delegation for Wisconsin in the U.S. House is shut up. I mean, look, Scott Fitzgerald took the same vote. He has no regrets whatsoever. None. Yeah. You don't hear anything about him. You don't hear Glenn Grothman's name in the news because he is also not getting on Twitter calling people names. So if you're going to take the vote to hurt the constituents, just follow those guys and go, yeah, I don't care. And then not get on Twitter and not name call reporters and not try to call attention to yourself. Go back to the one thing that he does well. The one thing Derek Van Orden does well, and maybe it isn't him, it's his campaign team. But in his commercials each year, he looks like the kindly older fella next door who rides a Harley, and he's just working on that in the garage, and he loves his grandkids and all that.
The dog.
Yep, and the folks who never see his social media interactions, who never see the way he talks to reporters and others, the way he talks to people in public, they believe the commercials. So, I mean, again, somebody needs to take away his social media passwords and tell him to make more videos, even if it's not campaign season. Make the videos that make you look kindly, even as you're sticking that shiv into the constituents who rely on Medicaid in your district.
I couldn't agree. But to your point, Pat, you made here, politically, don't you think this guy is going on social and attacking people and name calling? Because I think he's truly worried about his reelection.
I think that's just his nature. He knows that there are three different strong women who've announced so far that want to run against him next year. He has no idea who his opponent's going to be, and so he's just swinging wildly at everything. Because, like you said, the desperation will do that when he does not have facts and, I don't know, morals on his side.
Pat Kreitlow, come on back. Talk a little, we got education. Yes, our old friend Jade Rothman wants to up your tuition. We'll discuss that with Mr. Kreitlow on the other side. See if Trigby shows up. He's on a jet plane. Don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media's Radio Network.
First class.
Absolutely.
That must be in the front row.
He doesn't fly coach anymore.
Nope.
He doesn't sit with the peasants.
No.
Nope.
No.
See, what are you doing? Well, I need to talk to you about doing a commercial.
Oh, okay. Well, to get a commercial on the air here, you just go down to the sales department. It's right next to the bathroom.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners out there how to contact me to get a commercial on WMDX.
Ah, okay. I get it. Okay, let's come up with something. Let's see. Business folks can contact you directly, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
what's the email, huh?
Okay, so it's sales@WMDXradio.com.
Oh, wait. Run that by me again.
Sales@WMDXradio.com. So we could put all that together and get into a commercial, get on the air soon?
Arthur, my friend, I think we just did.
Advertise on WMDX Radio. Email Arthur, sales@WMDXradio.com.
I love playing sports, especially for my school. And that's because school sports are special. It's where it's safe to fail. It's where we're taught resilience, where our fear becomes confidence.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's where
No
we learn
tax
to
on
get
tips.
back up
That's only
after
for 1
every
year
fall.
too, right?
School sports are where
It expires in
7.8 million
2028.
students go from I can't to I can.
But it's not a primitive deal.
This message presented
No,
by
no, no,
Oh,
no.
this is great. It's only enough to get your vote, and then adios.
Exactly.
Sugar River Pizza and the John and Gordy Show have both been nominated for Madison Magazine's Best of Madison. Thanks for your vote. To celebrate, they're throwing Sugar River Pizza parties at workplaces around Madison all summer. If your workplace would like a Best of Madison pizza party with Sugar River Pizza and John and Gordy, get to WMDXradio.com and tell us why.
We promise not to embarrass you in front of your boss.
Everyone's already seen you do the I am the wall
30 seconds.
with the bread.
Gracias.
People say I got a drinking problem. That ain't no reason to stop. People saying that I've hit rock bottom just 'cause I'm living on the rocks. It's a broken heart and thinking problem.
The Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 now, past the hour of 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, July 9th, straight off the Derek Van Orden Spotify playlist. Welcome back, everyone. Glad to have you along.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were taking a shot at me for mentioning the two beer gardens at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair.
It was about TVO.
I'm like, Sommers, that's so brilliantly passive aggressive. Brilliantly so.
Someone who does not have a drinking problem, although he makes a very mean, nay, I say, the best home brandy old fashioned I've ever had, and he was so kind to do it up while I was up there in Lake Wissota doing our show up there. Mr. Pat Kreitlow, you can hear him every morning on Mornings with the conveniently named show Mornings with Pat Kreitlow.
Isn't it great? You can throw that back at me now.
I know after 2 years of him doing it to me, I get to do it to him now, so that's great. Well, let's People that have kids in universities in Wisconsin, they may need a brandy old-fashioned after the news yesterday, according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. It says, pending an upcoming vote, tuition for the University of Wisconsin system students is set to rise in the upcoming school year. Board of Regents expected to vote on July 10th, a couple of days, on a proposed 5% increase to resident undergraduate tuition for most UW campuses. At UW-Madison, the flagship campus, that 5% increase would be an additional $500, bringing the 2025-2026 annual resident undergraduate tuition to $10,506. If the vote passes, it would mark the third consecutive year with a tuition increase. My old friend, tongue-in-cheek, UW System President Jay Rothman said, after a decade of tuition freezes and lagging state aid, we believe we have struck a balance for students and families with this proposal and the recent state investments in the UW as part of the 25-26 biennial budget, unquote. Pat, no bigger believer in the UW system than me, and I think I'll include you in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But after the legislature and Governor Evers did get more money into UW system's budget after the Republicans wanted to cut it by $87 million, you would think at least they might be able to go a year without sticking it to the people paying the tuition.
Well, I'm decidedly in the minority on this. I don't feel like the UW system or any colleges and universities should have to intentionally, play victim or play pauper, play those games essentially. If it costs more money with inflation and everything else, that's fine. And put the pressure on where it belongs, state government, which has done a woeful job of supporting higher education in the state. I looked it up, and did you know, Mr. Allbaugh, that it was 40 years ago that I was starting my senior year at UW Eau Claire, 1985, the 85-86 academic year. My tuition that year was, I looked this up, $2,784.
For the year?
For the year. And that was almost entirely covered through either federal Pell Grants or other state assistance, things like reciprocity, because we valued higher education far more once upon a time in the state for nearly a century than we do now. So I understand that it's easy to get frustrated at the UW system for it. It's just that I can't get to that point because of my years-long frustration with the way that we have made it so convenient to knock colleges and universities, as Republicans love to do, the ivory towers and the elites and everything else. And if we lose, what's left of the UW system, and I'm not taking them off the hook for any mismanagement, I'm just saying if we lose something like the UW system, that's the ball game for our state economy. We will be so much worse off if we don't have all of that research, if we don't have all those best and brightest people coming to our campuses, the faculty, the jobs that are created, not just directly, but indirectly through the graduates. This place has a story to tell. Now, I don't think Jay Rothman's doing a great job at all of telling that story or making justification for it. So I'm not taking anything away from your frustration with the tuition hike. I'm just telling you where my bias is that I would like to see, this state through its legislature do more than just turn the UW into a convenient punching bag when it feels it has to do things like raise tuition.
No argument for me on my former party and their assault on higher public and K-12 public education in this state. Totally fair. I just look at it from the standpoint of, like, my two godsons, the last one graduated UW a couple of years ago now, and I know how much, he and his parents were paying. He got a couple of small scholarships, but they were paying their own way. And it's tough on... And now with the closure of half of our two-year schools, so now you're going to tell some of these people, okay, now you have to drive an hour one way to go to class. Oh, and by the way, we're going to increase your tuition $500 a semester with all the money that's going into building projects. And those are important too. I'm not saying they're not, but you look at some of these, and I think the good people should be paid a fair and market wage on this. But I just think that when and you know what I'm talking about, I don't have to spell it out. Yep. There are people that are on the 17th floor of Van Nuys, that's where the system is at, that are making $250,000, and they are assistants to Rothman and other people, and they're supposed to be lobbying the state legislature, and really $250,000 got us kind of milk toast. I just don't see the justification for it. And you think that you could give these parents 1 year of not increasing tuition.
I think the UW system ought to hire you, and they ought to hire me, because we are both absolutely correct in how we are evaluating this problem, and both things need to be said, perhaps by two different people like we are right now, but both things are absolutely true. But those tuition hikes wouldn't be as necessary if the state came through and did their share. I get the optics, I get the politics. I keep coming back to the root cause.
Think when that could boost our state retirement, Pat, if we each took a couple of years at $200,000. I mean, wow. We'd be sitting pretty, my friend. All right, we'll see you tomorrow up in Chippewa Falls. Right. Thank you very much, Pat. Listen every morning, 6 until 9. Come on back. We'll talk tax on tips after this. Stay tuned now for a farm market update with Pam Young.
off to the beer garden.
Woohoo! Thank you,
All right,
Patrick.
well, say
All
hi
right.
to old man Trigby whenever we see him.
We'll see. Shows up. We'll see. All right, I'll talk to you early in the morning, then I'll see you at the
On
fair.
a jet plane. Yes. Okay. Oh, did you have any requests for tomorrow after the fair?
July is National Ice
Like
Any
you want?
requests?
Yeah. You want to go out on the lake? Do you want to go
I
get
would
dinner
love to.
someplace?
I would
be
if
working
it's
on
not
your
too much,
work on
too
your
much- not too
Chippewa
much
Valley
trouble,
bucket
I
list.
would love to go on
I
a
know.
little lake tour.
Okay, we'll check the forecast.
Yeah, we'll
and,
check the forecast.
I'll get the captain's hat ready over here.
Oh,
and,
fantastic.
We'll be ready. See ya.
I cannot wait. All right, thanks.
Okay.
Take care. Bye.
Shannon Simon is the marketing manager for Cedar Crest Ice Cream, and she says this year's winner, Demo Derby, created by a 4-H club in Portage County, has some interesting twists.
The winner of this particular ice cream year is the Sunnyside Climbers 4-H from Portage County, Plover, Wisconsin. They're winning ice cream called Demo Derby. And the way that they presented Demo Derby is that it's chocolate ice cream dented with chocolate cookie crumbs and smashed M&Ms and swirled with chocolate fudge to represent the oils that you would have on the county fairgrounds when they have their Demo Derby. So Demo Derby was one of their favorite county
Ignore
fairs
that.
activities. So they wanted to create an ice cream that represented that particular county fair that we have.
Creative Kids, that's Shannon Simon. She's the marketing director for Cedar Crest Ice Cream. Finalists receive a Cedar Crest Ice
As they
Cream
say,
party,
moving
as
on.
well as the grand prize winner getting an ice cream party and $500 cash. Demo Derby will be a featured flavor you can look for at Cedar Crest locations all across Wisconsin.
Rural Mutual Insurance is proud to sponsor the event tent at Wisconsin Farm Technology Days, August 5th through the 7th at Clinton Farms in Bear Creek. For nearly a century, Rural Mutual has protected Wisconsin farms and supported rural communities with local insurance agents in every county. Join them at the Rural Mutual Event Center for live music, vendor booths, barbecue demos, and more. They're proud to protect what matters most: your farm, your family, your future. Learn more at ruralmutual.com.
When hot weather strikes your cattle, milk production drops and feed intakes decrease. Summer heat also impacts the quality of your herd's reproduction. Protect your cows and grow your bottom line. Add BioVet's Bovine Gold Light to your cow's daily ration. Bovine Gold Light keeps the herd hydrated, maintains milk production, and keeps your breeding program in check. Learn more about Bovine Gold Light at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
And it's cherry picking season in Wisconsin, particularly in Door County. The Wisconsin Department of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection has announced that Chris Lautenbach from Fish Creek and Jim Sequest from Ellison Bay have been elected to 3-year terms serving on the Wisconsin Cherry Board. They started those responsibilities on July 1st. That's a look at food news. I'm Pam Yankee.
As Wisconsin is saying the word bag instead of bag. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Dry and sunny today with calm winds and comfortable conditions with highs in the low 80s. And it won't be too humid either. That holds off until tomorrow, becoming more muggy, partly sunny. Highs will make it to the mid 80s. Then a chance of some storms tomorrow afternoon. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 79.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Years ago, I had I think I had a rainbow. No, it was a shirt. It was given to me, and I wore it because I support all people. And a friend of mine, like, sure you want to walk around in that? You know, a t-shirt, people might think. I'm like, people might think I'm a human being that supports other human beings. I wear sports jerseys sometimes. No one ever says, are you worried people are going to think you're on the Cubs?
I don't think anyone would think that, though.
Oh, you haven't seen my curveball.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high
30
school
seconds.
diploma, you can do it.
No one gets it.
fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along with us. Zommers on the board. 35 minutes now past the hour of 1 o'clock. Pardon me, 2 o'clock. Check that. On Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. Many thanks to Pat Kreitlow of Mornings with Pat Kreitlow every morning from 6 until 9 for being here our first half hour. And looking forward to hanging out with Pat a little while up in the Chippewa Valley next couple of days. Going to be a great couple of shows from the Northern Wisconsin State Fair, so be with us tomorrow and Friday. We'll bring you all that live action from the Chippewa Valley. Trygve Olsen may or may not join us. He's stuck in flight, as they say. You know how it is. And I heard our friend Jane Matnair and Greg Bach on Matnair on Air this morning. Great program every morning from 9 until 11. They were talking a little bit about this. We'll touch on it maybe a little bit later. Big news from TSA. You don't have to take off your shoes anymore.
But even bigger, more important news from TSA. Yeah. They're still keeping the recombobulation area.
Thank you. Yes, in Milwaukee. They have the recombobulation area where you can get, because sometimes you have to undress when you go through the
take off a belt, take off your shoes, no longer shoes, but take off a belt.
Sometimes, well, the story we had last week, if you have swamp crotch, then you gotta get a pat down, disrobe. But and then so they in Milwaukee, then they're so smart. Milwaukee ahead of the country on this. They set up an area where you can put your clothes back on, and it's called the recombobulation area. And our friend, our colleague, the political editor of Civic Media, Dan Schaefer, that is where he got the name for his great site called the recombobulation area. And so there was talk now that TSA is announcing you don't have to remove your shoes. Do you really need a recombobulation area? And the answer is, of course, yes, 100%. You need the area at the airport, and you need a recombobulation area to get you all set with the news as well. So check it out, www. And you got to use the 3 W's. www.therecombobulationarea.news. You can find Dan Schaefer and all the great contributors there at the recombobulation area. Thank you, Zommers, for that update there on that. I'm going to talk about tax on tips here in just a minute, but I wanted to finish up on this story we were talking a little bit about with Pat Kreitlow. Story in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel today on the University of Wisconsin system announcing that Jay Rothman, president, wants to up tuition for students within the system, 5% across the board for in-state tuition. And of course, this is after the university got a big increase in the state budget. And believe me, I'm glad they got a $256 million increase in the budget after it was floated by Robin Voss and other Republicans in the legislature. They wanted to cut the system by $87 million. So I'm all for the increase. But you would think that Rothman would have been politically smart enough to say, you know what, why don't we not raise tuition for a year? Give students and in many cases their parents a break. But no, he wants a tuition up. So let me connect the dots, as they say. Connect Four, great game, by the way. Is that classified as a board game? You're an
Connect
expert.
Four? Yeah.
Really, Connect Four. All right. Because it's not really a board. It's more of a stand.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to have a board necessarily to be considered a board game. It's just, I guess
Really?
Tabletop game is more
tabletop.
accurate. but-
Tabletop game. I like that. Tabletop game. All right. So anyway, let me connect the dots for you because this is serious and this is serious business. So under this proposal by Rothman at UW System, non-resident undergraduate tuition would rise, hang on to your hats, to $42,531 at UW-Madison for the 25-26 school year. I mean, that's crazy, right? But here's the deal. Let me connect this for you. Why is it that when we talk about what's happening in D.C. with Donald Trump and the MAGA leadership out there wanting to crack down not just on undocumented folks in immigration, he's trying to cut back on even legal immigration. And he has targeted foreign students. They are now saying, according to the State Department, to Homeland Security, that if you want a student visa, you have to unlock all of your social media accounts. So you can, Zomers knows more about this than me, but like on Twitter, for instance, on X, you can make it so that you have a social media account, but only people that it's locked, quote unquote, which means people have to ask to see your account or be in it. And if you don't give permission, they can't see your account. Is that right, Zomers?
Yeah.
Basically. And I think you could do that with Insta and Facebook and whatever. So now this State Department of Homeland Security says, hey, if you want to be a student in America, you have to unlock so we can review your social media accounts. And basically, if there's anything in there derogatory about Donald Trump or MAGA, gone. You don't get to come here. Which seems to me more than a little ironic that you have people coming from China and other countries where the government is not standing up for free speech, and they're coming here in part, at least, to study in a country that has more freedom. But now our current federal government under Trump is saying we're gonna decide whether you're ideologically compatible. And this ain't we're not talking about people who might be terrorists or making threats. We're talking about people that might have retweeted something that was anti-Trump. Or you say, well, Todd, you're off on a tangent here. A little bit, but not really. Bear with me. Why is that important? Because the fewer foreign students that are allowed to come into America, and in our case, the fewer international students that are allowed to go to state public universities, just think of that. At Madison, for every person that Trump doesn't allow in, you're losing $42,531. Now replicate that several times. My old professor, Jack O'Neill at UW Platteville, used to say it all comes down to the dollar sign. Jack was right. If UW system doesn't have international, it has a lot fewer international students, guess what? They have to make up that revenue. And in part, I will give President Rothman a little bit of leeway, a little, because of the Trump administration allowing fewer foreign students here. They have to make up for those dollars. A lot of people say, why is it so hard to get my kid into UW-Madison? I mean, they're 4.0 or higher now, grade point average. They were involved in extracurriculars, and they got denied. Well, part of the reason is that UW-Madison, to the largest degree, but other state schools as well, have to hold out for financial reasons so many slots for international students because the state legislature under Republican control isn't allocating enough dollars for them to survive. It's a sick money game. And yes, I get it. I mean, I'm all for international students paying more as a privilege or whatever, but $42,531, that's like 4 times what a Wisconsin resident pays. And yes, I think that Wisconsin residents should get a deal. It is a public land grant university. In this story, in the Journal Sentinel, it says, what about graduate students? A majority of UW campuses are also proposing increases to graduate tuition, both for residents and non-residents. For graduate residents, tuition would increase between 4 and 5.6% at all campuses, with the exception of Madison and Milwaukee. Those two are proposing to keep their graduate resident tuition flat. It's nearly the same story for non-residents. Madison and Milwaukee are proposing no increases, and other campuses are proposing between 1.9 and 5.3% increases. That's for graduate students. But you see how this is all connected? If you kind of dig down into it, we think, well, what happens in D.C.? Well, how does that affect me? Well, it could very well mean that your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter can't get into the state university that they want to because there simply aren't enough slots for financial reasons. So why we have to have investment in our UW system. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to Mark in Prairie Sac. Mark, thanks for listening. What say you?
Well, heaven forbid somebody criticize the Orange Menace that is currently the president of the United States. And as far as international students go, I went to school to UW Superior, 76 to 1980. I graduated in 1980, and there was a significant number of students from Nigeria at UW Superior at that point in time. I mean, there's two different categories of them. Some were there on I think it was called the Riverside Scholarships, and there was others there that came from very wealthy families that were, going to school in the northern Wisconsin, that in the middle of the continent, that coming from Nigeria. I mean, those were international students, and I don't know what the rate was back then. I mean, tuition was certainly a heck of a lot cheaper back then because the state actually kicked in more funds toward the university.
Right.
But I mean, that cutting off that resource for for our universities and that resource for our country, bringing in knowledge and exposing people to America, coming from other countries, and Donald Trump is so thin-skinned that they're just afraid, somebody might be criticizing Donald Trump. Right. I mean, for God's sakes, they're detaining American citizens because when they're coming back from foreign countries because they might have criticized the king. Well, that's the kind of crap that the colonists went through back in the day when we declared independence from the king. Yeah. You couldn't criticize the king back then. Period.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the call, Mark. Just up against the clock, but I appreciate the call. Yeah, Mark's absolutely right. And I've told this story before. I won't tell the entire thing again so as not to bore you. But the greatest part about my college experience were my 3 years at a 2-year college at UW Richland with the Central American Scholarship Program that was administered through, guess where? USAID, the State Department, which Trump and Marco Rubio cut, to bring students from very poor families but that were academically excellent that would never otherwise get a university education, to give them 2-year full-ride scholarships to come to the United States to learn either computers or business with the requirement to go back home for 2 years in order to lift from within, both economically and to give them the quote-unquote American experience so they can go back and say, this is back in the late 80s. So you can say, yeah, you know what? Democracy and America is better than communism and Russia and the Soviet Union at that time. That program did more to improve world relations and peace than all the money that you stuck into bombs or defense. And guess who was one of the main authors of the Central American Scholarship Program? Republican U.S. Senator Bob Caston of Wisconsin. That Republican Party no longer exists. We'll get to tax on tips. Don't go anywhere. We'll give you the whole story, including the tips. Come on back. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Join the family. Civic
You see
Media has
the
a
Journal
number of great
Sentinel
jobs
article
across the state.
about
Open now
Madison
at
election office?
civicmedia.us.
I saw it come across. I haven't read it yet.
Right now, during the
Well, it's
Verlo
nothing
mattress
new,
clearance
really.
sale, you can save even more with
Well, I guess
Verlo's
one thing that's
already
new.
low consumer direct prices.
The Madison clerk, how they didn't do anything about those 200 absentee ballots, make sure they were counted. Apparently, not only did she not make sure they were counted, when she found out they were missing, she went on vacation.
Oh, but you better hurry. The sale ends soon. Wake up.
So many things I could say, but none that I will.
Went on vacation. That's wow.
There were clouds in the sky, but I didn't see them floating. No, I didn't see them at all till there was you.
Music starts at 5:30. It's live music on the patio at the Lazy Oaf Lounge every Tuesday and Thursday. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road in Madison. Find specials, menus, and more at lazyoaflounge.com.
Escape to the hidden gem of the Midwest, Chula Vista Resort. Relax with modern comforts and breathtaking views. Thrill into water parks and swing into championship golf. Savor diverse dining options. Book your summer retreat now. Call 1-800-388-4782 or visit chulavistaresort.com.
Chula Vista Resort is one of the top 10 indoor water parks in the USA with 26 water slides over 1.5 miles long. Find out more at chulavistaresort.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect.
800-217-9129. 800-217-9129. 800-217-9129.
If you love animals and want to help in Dane County, shop, donate, or volunteer at one of Dane County Humane Society's thrift stores. They sell gently used and new clothes, home goods, toys, furniture, and more. All proceeds support the comfort and care of animals in need. Dane County Humane Society thrift stores. Shop Thrift Store West on Watts Road and Thrift Store East on High Crossing Boulevard. And tap your hood to make sure your cat's not there. /thrift to learn more.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Madam Mayor, Satya Rhodes Conway from the fabulous city of Madison.
A lot of people say, I don't like politics. It's all dirty.
About 30 seconds.
All right, thank you. Here we go.
There were bells on the hill, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all till there was you.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the chill vibe of a Wednesday afternoon on the Civic Media Radio Network, 8 minutes before the hour of 3 o'clock. I love that song. I don't know why. It takes me back to my early radio days at WRCL in Richland Center. Ray Schrader, reminiscing with Ray every Saturday afternoon, and he would play that. He played the old tunes like that, and it was just, I don't know
that
why.
version of it too, or the other one?
Maybe I think there
are a lot of versions of the song.
It's been done a lot. What is that? Is that from My Fair Lady? What show is that from? I'm not
That
exactly
one
sure.
is it's a cover by Peggy Lee.
Right.
Oh, do you mean the original? It's from Music Man, I think.
Music Man. All right, yeah, there you go. But it's just it's a chill song that I tend to, if you watch The Secret Show, if you tune in on the stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twix, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, I occasionally just start singing that, and Zommers has to put up with it. and occasionally he'll throw it back at me like that, and I love it every time he does it. All right, welcome back, everybody. That had nothing to do with anything other than amuse me. So, Zommers, have you ever had? I'm not sure if I've ever asked you this before. We've been together almost 3 years. Can you imagine
almost
that?
3 years.
This
wow.
show has been on the air almost 3 years, and that in and of itself these days is quite the accomplishment.
Indeed.
I'm not sure I've ever asked you, have you ever worked in a job where you relied on tips?
I have not. I have worked in jobs where I received tips but never relied on them. Like I worked at a Starbucks, and you get some tips, but it's not the bulk of your salary or your wages.
I would say similar. I've also my first job in coffee years ago was at a Starbucks where you got tips. I served, but I was kind of in a management role. So if I occasionally wait a table, I just put my tips in with like the bartender tips or whatever. So I haven't myself personally relied on it. But here is, as my old social studies teacher Ken Lewis is fond of saying, here is a hitherto unknown fact. Did you know that in Wisconsin, the minimum wage for tipped employees like servers is still $2.33 an hour?
I did.
I know you did.
Although, technically, if they don't make it to real minimum wage with tips, then the employer has to pay up to that.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, you're right. So they passed a law not too long ago exactly. Zommers is right. So if a server or bartender's tips don't equal at least $7.25 an hour, which is still the ridiculously low non-livable wage, minimum wage in this state and the country, at least in the state, the employer has to make up for it, but the employer can claim a tip credit for the difference between the tip wage and the minimum wage, which I'm fine with that. I think that's great. But the important part, so people say, well, why should I tip my server? We're at this nice fancy restaurant. I'm paying, $60 for a filet. And you want me to pay 10, 20% more, hopefully at least 15 or 20% more for a tip? Yes, because the person that's waiting on you for that hour or 90 minutes, they are only making technically $2.33 an hour. So we're going to start this, and we're going to finish it on the other side in 3 o'clock hour here. According to WISC TV, Channel 3000, the CBS affiliate in Madison, says President Donald Trump's campaign promise to eliminate federal taxes on tips has become a reality in his budget bill. So what will it mean for Wisconsin's more than 50,000 tip workers? The provision allows workers to deduct up to $25,000 in tips annually with an income cap of $150,000. Tipped workers will still have to pay state and local income taxes and payroll taxes. According to Susan Quam, Executive Vice President of the Wisconsin Restaurant Association, which represents 7,000 locations across the state of Wisconsin, she says that's going to cover a huge portion of what people are earning. Quam also said the provision will apply to industries that traditionally have used tipping so that other sectors won't have to, quote, jump on the bandwagon, unquote. She says many of our folks are either part-time, either supplemental income to the family, or are students putting themselves through school. This will help them achieve their goals as individuals. According to a May report for the White House Council of Economic Advisors, eliminating federal taxes on tips for eligible workers will increase take-home pay by roughly $1,600 annually. However, there's roughly 4 million tipped workers in the United States, and nearly a third don't earn enough to pay federal income tax, meaning they wouldn't actually benefit from this tax elimination. That seems to be a problem. Laura Dresser, a labor economist and professor at UW-Madison, questions whether the tax cut addresses the most pressing challenges facing tipped workers. She says, quote, tax on tips is not the first problem I would solve for tipped workers in this economy, unquote. Instead, she argues that tipped workers face more fundamental issues like limited access to benefits such as health care and hour wage instability. And here's the kicker. This Trump tax on tip provision is extended only through the 2028 under the current budget bill, basically meaning that Congress can restrict or abolish it in the future. So this, again, unfortunately, is politically brilliant. They get to go around, Republicans, and campaign for the midterm election saying, hey, we got rid of the tax on tips. And if you put them back in office, guess what? It's gone. It was, as George Costanza once said on Seinfeld, didn't take. I mean, I laugh about it because it's so ridiculous. But it's tragically sad because most people aren't going to dig down into the facts. They're just going to let Trump and the Republican Congress get away with this sham. That's why
Very Oliver Twist.
That's why, as Mr. Lewis says, you can't be so poor that you can't pay attention. Come on back. Hour 2 is next. Might talk a little bit more on this tax on tips and what's worse, a ZA edition. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Lisa,
may I have some more?
Madison's home for real news and
You get your
great
serving of
conversation.
porridge.
A Cynthia station.
But true.
ABC ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Texas high country, at least 118 are now confirmed dead from the catastrophic July 4th floods. Another 170 are still missing. Stories of survival also emerging, from summer camps to an RV park where Julia Hatfield was staying with her husband. She says they had enough warning to get into their car and drive to high ground.
My husband had stayed awake. The rain was coming down really hard, and so he was making sure we didn't have any leaks in our RV. And he started to hear screaming, and he looked out and saw that the lower level of the park that's about 4 feet lower than us. The RVs were already have water up to the doors.
President Trump signaled that Israel and Hamas are getting closer to finalizing a possible Gaza ceasefire deal. A sticking point remains of Hamas's demand for Israel to fully withdraw from Gaza. 2 years after Elon Musk hired Linda Yaccarino as CEO for X, she announced she's leaving the platform. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
As Wisconsin is cheering on the Brew Crew. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. There's now officially one person in the race for governor of Wisconsin next year, and it's not Tony Evers. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
Bill Berrien, a Navy SEAL veteran and business leader, has entered the governor's contest. In his announcement, Berrien said his campaign will focus on conservative principles, manufacturing revitalization, and opposition to the current governor's policies. He's the latest Republican to join the primary, alongside Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman. Governor Evers hasn't yet said whether he plans to run again.
Evers has said he wanted to get the budget done before making a decision about whether to run again. The pollsters at Marquette Law School asked Wisconsin voters, do you think Evers should run for a third term? Charles Franklin, director of the poll.
42% say he should seek a third term, 55% say he should not, and 2% say they don't know. Again, a big partisan gap. 93% of Republicans no, 83% of Democrats yes. So that's 15% of Democrats saying no. But among those independents, the 12% that are purely independent, it's 37% he should run, 50% not, 9% don't know.
Franklin says Evers has a good record among Wisconsinites.
In 31 polls, his net approval has been positive, and in just 4 polls, net approval negative. So it's a pretty strong record. He remains the most popular of the political figures in the state that we ask about.
Democrats are shooting for a trifecta, aiming to take both chambers of the legislature and ensure there's a Democrat in the governor's office next year. Wisconsin is one of 5 states that President Donald Trump won last year that has a Democratic governor and a gubernatorial election in 2026. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The Brewers win the series. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, the Brewers beat the Dodgers 3-1 to take a 2-0 lead over L.A. in the 3-game series. They wrap it up this afternoon here at AmFam Field. Milwaukee rookie pitcher Jacob Mizorowski, with the start, gave up a home run to the Dodgers leadoff hitter Shohei Ohtani. Pat Murphy.
Giving up the leadoff home run, it's like getting knocked down in the first round. Here's one of the best hitters in the game.
We also still have
ball up.
the
He
audio
got
you
back
sent.
up, took a standing
Oh,
aim,
yeah,
and
thank you.
Mizorowski then settled in, not allowing another run throughout 6 innings, striking out 12 batters. Dodgers starter Clayton
And
Kershaw.
here's how I cut it.
And I told them I thought that was bullshit.
That's fantastic.
Is that too close?
No,
Or?
I think that's good.
It's super impressive. It was really special. I mean, everything, obviously the velo, but he's got 4 pitches.
Yes, Heather,
and
you're
the ball,
absolutely
and,
right.
I mean, I don't know how you hit that, honestly. That's just really tough.
That's Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
As Wisconsin is hitting the road on your Harley. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Really, we should be grateful that God Emperor Trump lets us see the sunlight.
Increasing clouds tonight, slight storm chance, low around 60. For tomorrow, more humid, partly sunny, isolated storms, muggy highs in the low 80s. Mid-80s Friday, scattered storms. Some storms still possible Saturday, dry and pleasant Sunday. Currently 81 degrees.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
The John and Gordy Show.
Would you rather sleep in a doghouse or let stray dogs sleep on your bed every night? And this is every night for the rest of your life. Okay?
Well, I would have to say that the stray dogs sleeping in my bed. Why not? Oh, hell. I got the crack and I got my border.
I like this. Again, I said it before. It's such a simple bit. What would you rather? But
6 till 8.
So it's fun.
I like this a lot.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer. It is the 9th of July, 2025. It is Wednesday. It is a great day to be Wisconsinite, and it is Hump Day. There you go. The old camel has made it into the mid part of the week. It feels like a Friday because I'm looking forward in nervous anticipation to our shows tomorrow and Friday at the fair. The Northern Wisconsin State Fair in Chippewa Falls, going to be there. Our friend, colleague, Pat Kreitlow of Mornings of Pat Kreitlow, who does his show from Lake Wissota in the Chippewa Valley every morning, is going to be on hand with us to be our co-host, guest co-host, tomorrow and Friday. Nobody knows this fair better than Pat Kreitlow. Very excited to have him. Going to have some local folks from the area as well. Rusty Volk, the fair director, is going to kick off the show tomorrow. Number one, he's extraordinarily knowledgeable about the fair. Number two, he knows the fair and is passionate about it. And number three, he's just a funny guy. That's a great combination of a guest. So looking forward to having Rusty Volk, the fair director of the Northern Wisconsin State Fair, on with Patrick and myself tomorrow. Join us tomorrow and Friday for the entire show as we come to you live from the fair. Talking about tax on tips last hour and the fact that this no tax on tips. Number one, it's not going to apply to everybody because there's income restrictions on this. And number two, the way that the Republicans passed this and Trump signed it into law is it expires after 2028. So it might not be in effect at all after they get your vote. Heather in beautiful Eau Claire on Facebook watching says, or if Dems are elected in the next cycle, it disappears and they blame the Dems. In other words, she's absolutely right. So if there's if Dems take the House in the midterm elections, but in the Senate Republicans say, no, we're not going to go along with that, or Trump says I'm not going to go along with that, then they're going to say, well, see, look, you elected Democrats to the House of Representatives and this no tax on tips disappeared. It's all Democrats' fault. But of course it isn't, because they set it up that way, the Republicans. It's frustrating because it's so politically good. In other words, the outcome is terrible, but the way they set it up for political messaging is unfortunately brilliant. It's dirty politics. And that's why you have to stay informed and know what the heck we're doing here. All right, so no tax on tips, and we'll keep following this as we move along here. What else, Summer, should we do? We got What's Worse coming up here in a bit. We've got other things to talk about. We got, speaking of the Trumpster, he was talking about, this is real, gold leafing on the White House
cabinet meeting today.
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Or my bad, yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's wait on that. Let's bring a little state news here before we do What's Worse. This is from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Molly Beck, great reporter, at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, says we have a new contestant, not on The Price is Right, but who wants to be governor. Republican Bill Breen, a Navy SEAL veteran and manufacturer, CEO of Whitefish Bay, launched a campaign for governor of Wisconsin today, comparing himself to President Donald Trump as a political outsider. Breen, CEO of Pindle Global Precision and Liberty Precision in New Berlin, joins Washington County Executive Josh Showman in the 2026 Republican primary field for governor. Quote, bureaucrats and politicians like Tony Evers have failed Wisconsin, unquote, Breen said in a statement provided to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. And it goes on with just more ridiculousness from there. I'm just not going to read it because it's nonsense. I'm not blaming the Journal-Sentinel, by the way. They're just reporting what this guy put in his statement. Breen is 56 years old, is launching his campaign without knowing who his political opponent in the general election might be. Governor Tony Evers has yet to announce whether he'll seek a third term, though the Democratic governor said a decision will likely be made yet this month. Even so, Breen targets Evers in a new ad. He takes aim at recent guidance Evers issued to state workers over visits from ICE officers and vetoing legislation that blocks transgender students from participating in girls' sports. So here we go. Yeah, I mean, let's just cut right to the chase. This Breen guy, what's his name? Bill Breen. It's more of the same. It's right out of the old transphobic, anti-LGBTQ, go after the brown people playbook. It's sick. This guy isn't going to run on, hey, I have a difference with Democrats on economic policy. I think that we should be taxing less. I think there should be smaller government. I think that, we should look at our school. No. This guy is launching a campaign for governor of the state of Wisconsin on the issue of ICE officers and blocking and Evers vetoing legislation that would have blocked transgender students from participating in girls' sports. As we've talked in this program before, this issue of transgender students participating in sports is a non-issue in terms of a political issue in this state. At last check, according to the WIAA, there were 6 transgender athletes in all of Wisconsin. It's just not a thing. But yet the Republicans want to play on our fears, on division, and make it a thing. I mean, think how small this guy has to be, Bill Breen. And again, just like Derek Van Orton, he tries to play the tough guy here. Well, I'm a Navy SEAL. And by the way, nobody has more respect for actual Navy SEALs than me. Had the privilege and honor of working with our military and veterans when I worked in the congressional office for 5 years. But why is it that these guys, Derek Van Orton and this Bill Breen, they lead with that? And at least in Derek Van Orton's case, he has yet to have one of his former colleagues or Navy SEALs who served with him stand next to him. And that continues to be my question. Look at guys like John McCain. He had people that served with him in the Navy, people who are in the Hanoi Hilton with him, stand next to him on a stage with their open military records and say, we proudly serve John McCain. He's a stand-up guy. Now, you might have disagreed with John McCain politically, but you couldn't deny that his military service was exemplary and he was an American hero. But guys like Derek Van Orton and this Bill Breen, they do a disservice to Navy SEALs. They do a disservice to our men and women in uniform because they take advantage of it and they run on things that very few of anybody in uniform is fighting for. Nobody that I've ever met in the military is talking about, yeah, I put my life on the line in Afghanistan. I put my life on the line in Vietnam. I put my life on the line in Korea. I put my life on the line, the few World War II veterans we have left, so that people could go after the 6 transgender athletes in our high schools in Wisconsin. Boy, that's what I wanted to die for. Nobody's doing that. But these guys, these yahoos, Bill Barine and Derek Van Orton, like, this is what they want to make it about. And they want to scare the bejesus out of you and me and pit neighbor against neighbor. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know about the best of Wisconsin. I don't care whether it's Tony Evers or Jim Doyle, 2 Democrats, or Tommy Thompson, a Republican. And yes, I've called out former Governor Thompson many times on this show for his current support of Trump. I think it's sad. But if you look at what Tommy Thompson did as governor, when he ran for governor, I was at a lot of those campaign events. Tommy Thompson never went after transgender people. He never went after immigrants in this country. He talked about the fact that he had family that immigrated here. They talked about the best of Wisconsin. So I just ask you to consider rejecting guys like Bill Barine and Derek Van Orton, because they're the worst of what Wisconsin has to offer. And they should be soundly rejected. It's 17 past the hour of 3 o'clock. Let's have a little fun. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. Nothing to give away, no prize money involved. It's your chance to have your voice heard across most of our 11 news talking sports stations. The Brewers game, I think, is still going on, Zombers. I think so. I believe that's true. We'll try to give you a scoring update here. But on the ones that are not carrying the Brewers game right now, top of the seventh, I can tell you, and the LA Dodgers up 2-1. So tight game, top of the 7th at AmFam Field. You can listen to that game on many of our stations across this network. For the rest of you, time once again for What's Worse. This is a pizza edition. What's worse, Domino's or Papa John's? Domino's or Papa John's? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Give us a ring-a-ling. Would love to hear from you. Before we get into, I guess, What's Worse, Joe, one of our great listeners in the Madison area, WMDX. Joe, you wanted to comment on Derek Van Orton before we get into the lighter side of things here. You got about a minute and a half. It's all yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, take a look at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel today. They had an article about dear Mr. Van Orton, who currently is claiming credit for getting additional dollars toward Medicaid in Wisconsin. Big old liar boy is lying again. The governor, Evers, disputes that. He said that the budget was already set before Van Orton was making his desperate calls because he voted against it on the federal level, and now he's saying that he was key to getting it on the state level. Yeah. What a stinking liar. He said in the article, he said, I played a key role. I urged him to sign it. What a liar. What a grandiose, egotistical, all about him liar. And yep. It's just, Tony Evers is not the sort that goes tangling. And for the governor's office to say, no, that did not happen. I don't know. I mean, it's just one more in a long line of this liar boy's continual lies. So
appreciate
he didn't say a key role, people.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate the call. We talked about it a little bit with Pat Kreitlow at the top of the show. Article in the Huffington Post on that as well. But always appreciate Joe calling in. It's in the Journal-Sentinel as well. We'll come back and do some What's Worse again. Pizza right now is the category. Domino's or Papa John's. What's worse? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. And text us on the Civic Media app. Back after this. Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison's real news and great conversation.
I think this picture is unfair.
WMDX.
What is that? An actual Domino's pizza?
Who knows? But whoever made the graphic for this, we'll have to talk about that. I
It
think.
looks like a zucchini with American cheese over it on top of a pizza.
I was gonna say it looks like
only $10 a month.
week-old eggs Benedict on top of a pizza.
Can fix most problems in just minutes. Call 608-231-8000 and sign up today. Madison Computer Works. Computers that work for you.
Summer is on at Sugar River Pizza with 3 awesome locations in Sun Prairie, Verona, and New Glarus. Grab a seat on the gorgeous patio and enjoy the breathtaking view. Catch live music every Thursday evening at their Sun Prairie location and sip from 48 beers on tap or a glass of your favorite wine. Craving something amazing? The pizza and pasta are melt in your mouth delicious. And yes, they cater. Make it a summer to savor. Only at Sugar River Pizza. SugarRiverPizza.com.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Ever since I started the recombobulation area, I've written an in-depth breakdown of every new edition of the Marquette University Law School poll. The newest poll asks about a range of topics: whether Tony Evers should run for a 3rd term, where people stand on Donald Trump's economic policies, and a host of issues relating to the state budget. The poll paints a picture of a polarized Wisconsin. Many people are very dug into their partisan camps, which is perhaps to be expected in the most evenly divided state in the nation. But there are a number of issues polled that do have the support of more than 2/3 of Wisconsin voters. Those include extending Medicaid coverage for new moms, legalizing marijuana, making major increases in state aid for special education.
Once in Chicago, I ordered Domino's, and the guy who showed up like 45 minutes after I ordered it,
and banning
I don't know what he was on, but it was some kind of upper.
They are policies being advanced by Democrats in Wisconsin. Find all of Dan's work.
Domino's refunded me for the order.
Did they really?
They were like, sorry, that delivery wasn't what you expected. I didn't even send a complaint or anything.
Orphaned wild animal.
They knew.
20 seconds.
All right, thank you.
Fell in love with the pizza girl. Now I eat pizza every day.
This song's so bad.
I fell in love with the pizza girl. Now I eat pizza every day.
Back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Where did you find that, Zommers?
You know, that's from the Disney show Jonas. When
It
the Jonas Brothers had their own TV show.
It is not.
No, it is.
That's from the Jonas Brothers on Disney.
Yeah. I mean, it's not one of their real songs, quote unquote. It's from their stupid show that some executive was like, write a song about the pizza girl. And they're like, okay.
It's like the Kenny Chesney, Willie Nelson duet, My Key Lime Pie. All right, we're talking pizza. Nicely done, Zommers. Nicely done. What's worse, right in the middle of what's worse right now, Domino's or Papa John's. People have feelings on certain types of pizza. And this one is Domino's versus Papa John's. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. If you don't have it, download it today. Go to your Apple or Android device. Go to the search bar, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. It'll pop up, the cute little CM logo. Click on that. Takes less than a minute. It is free. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. The Civic Media app. By the way, you're going to give away 4 more free tickets for the Brewers game to be named later. Free ticket Brewer Friday. Coming up this Friday, we'll be live at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair, but we'll still give you an opportunity to win free Brewers tickets on Friday. So download the app because that's the only way you can play on Friday. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Let's go to beautiful Waukesha, listening to WAUK. Rick in Waukesha. Rick, Domino's or Papa John's, what's worse?
Domino's.
Any particular reason?
I think it's the crust.
Really? You don't like the Domino's crust? All right.
I think it's like mass-produced, kind of not the greatest crust. So, and I know somebody that delivers for him too, and he's not happy with it.
Really? So he delivers, but yet he doesn't like the Domino's pizza.
No, he likes any other company's pizza, better.
But he got a job. He's got a job, so he's got to pay the bills, so he does it anyway.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention, when you're talking about that military action as a candidate.
Yeah.
During the time of Nixon, McGovern, he never spoke much about his military experience, and I think, he was trying to get Nixon maybe to talk about it, but it would have worked against him because he was a pilot in the Second World War.
I've heard that.
And I think Richard was like, administration or something in the service.
All right. Hey, thanks. I appreciate. Yeah, thank you, Rick. I always appreciate the call there. And remember, it's colder in the winter than it is in the country. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. What's worse, Domino's or Papa John's? You can also text us on the Civic Media app, like Matt in Middleton says Domino's hasn't closed a restaurant in Middleton. Has not closed a restaurant in Middleton due to a roach infestation. Oh, like Papa John's. Oh, wow, I did not know that. So they're definitely worse. Wow, that ain't good at all. When you have to close due to a roach infestation. My mom and I are watching one of these home shows on Home and Garden, and they have like a version down south somewhere where they buy like an old home and renovate it, and they counted like 8 roaches on the floor in one room. And I said, like, if there's 8 roaches on the floor, there's 108 in the walls.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No, you don't want that at all. What's worse, Domino's or Papa John's? Our own Jenny, watching on YouTube, says frozen pizza is a sacred institution in Wisconsin. Choosing between Domino's or Papa John's, betrayal. Good point, Jenny. I think, did Jane and Greg do this one time, the favorite frozen pizza? Or maybe
I think so.
Maybe it was Schwaba. I think it was Schwaba one night on Nightlight. He and Conrad did this and talked. They were talking about what's the best frozen pizza. Yeah, it was Nightlight. And I think it's Park Street. I know the label. I think it's Park Street in like Beaver Dam is the one I buy at Metcalf's here. It's really, really good.
Wisconsin is definitely the frozen pizza capital of America, not the frozen pizza capital of the world. I actually watched a big video essay that did tons of research on.
You did? Really?
Yeah. We certainly are the greatest creators of frozen pizza, but I can't remember what country. I think it was like Norway or something eats the most frozen pizza, but they only barely beat out Wisconsin.
Those Norwegians, look at them, they eat the frozen pizza. DJ, while listening in Wausau on WXCO, says Papa John's is way worse. I don't spend my hard-earned dollars on companies formerly run by right-wing conspiracy theorists.
Oh yeah,
there's that whole history as well.
Deep rabbit hole.
That's a deep dish right there. Len in Madison on WMDX is not sure what's worse regarding Domino's or Papa John's, but what's better is to pop a cold one. Oh, I like that. That's nice play on words there. I enjoy that. What else we have? Dave in New Berlin says, I don't think either is bad. I'm forced to say Domino's is worse because given the option, I'll get Papa John's every time. AJ in Madison and WMDX just says they both suck. Sorry. I don't know. I think that again, it depends on what you're hankering for. I have not had very many Papa John's pizzas. In fact,
I think I've been there once.
I don't know that and I got this confused earlier, by the way. Zomers is like, who wrote this liner for today for this bit? I said, me. Why? Because I literally thought we were doing Papa Murphy's.
Yeah, they are not the same.
Not the same at all.
Different Papas.
Yeah. All right.
Don't want to get the daddies mixed
we'll
up.
do no, don't forget who's your daddy. Come on back. We'll sort all this out. More news straight ahead. Talk about a film and television. Hollywood's coming to Wisconsin after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Pizza time.
Very good.
As Wisconsin is cheering on
the
Bucky
other side.
Badger.
I didn't leave time. Sorry for that.
This
And we'll
is
talk
the Civic Media Radio Network.
Philem in Wisconsin.
Anxiety
Talk what?
is building in the marketplace over international business and
I knew a guy
overall
once that used to
business
pronounce it
slowdown.
Philem.
I'm Stephanie Hoff for the
I think he was
Midwest
from the
Farm
UK,
Report, and this
if I
is the
remember
word
correctly.
from market advisor John Heinberg. He's along with us from Total Farm Marketing in West Bend. Earlier this week, the president said the U.S. will impose 25% tariffs on goods from South Korea and Japan by August 1st. John Heinberg explains the market reaction.
Obviously, when we start talking about grain markets
pardon
or
me.
U.S. ag products, Japan is a major customer, so I think that added to the selling pressure yesterday, as well as South Korea is one of the top handful of purchasers of U.S. goods in that regard. So again, I think that weighed on the markets, at least the grain markets, just added a little bit more fuel to the fire. So again, we'll have to see how things shape up as we get closer to August 1st.
John
I'm not going
Heinberg,
to, but I really
along
want to play
with us
this.
From Total Farm Marketing in West Bend before we
Yeah, that's great.
Stick around.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, I feel like we might get in trouble if we actually do that on the show. I don't know. I mean, we might get in trouble for doing that just now. I don't know.
Saturday 9 until 1.
These days, you never
I just
know.
swung down to enjoy their regular Friday.
I don't know how
Block
copyright works for
Friday.
20th Century
Right,
Fox's
but it
intro.
happens rain or shine, and it features all the different flavors that Bavaria sausage has made famous. And I'll tell you
What
what,
is this camera? It says
customers
Aaron
spoke
has
loud
like a
and clear
weird
about
angle
why
of the
they
camera
love Bavaria sausage.
in the waiting room.
It's the street cam, but it's
flavor.
sitting right there
Oh.
instead of pointed at the street.
Ingredients.
Oh, let's see if we
It's
can move it
the
up.
snap of a really good brat or a really good knockwurst. That's what I enjoyed. Take a look online, BavariaSausage.com. Incorporate it into your upcoming events. Need something special? Contact them directly. BavariaSausage.com. We'll see you there.
On the close Wednesday from Chicago, markets are mixed. Corn closed higher. Cash corn up a penny and a quarter at $3.99 and a quarter. December new crop corn also up a penny and a quarter at $4.15 and a half. Soybeans continued to feel pressure on a Wednesday.
Oh, it's
Cash
a
beans
beautiful,
down
beautiful
12 and
view
a
of
quarter
Madison.
cents, closing at $10.09 a bushel. November new crop beans down 10 and a quarter cents, closing at $10.07 and a quarter. Wheat showed slight strength in the midday trade, but closed
Mom
down
very
3/4
concerned
of a
about
cent
asking
at
who won the Brewers
$5.47
tickets
a
last
bushel.
Friday.
Fluid
She
milk is
wants to
sitting
know who the
neutral
winners
or
are. You
moving
understand?
lower. The Class 3 August
Ah.
milk contract is sitting unchanged at $17.91 a hundredweight. The September contract down a penny at $18.55 a hundredweight. Class 3 milk goes to make cheese, which did see a lift. The 40-pound block closed up a quarter of a cent at $1.69 and a half. Double A butter closed down a nickel and a half at $2.56 and a quarter per pound. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Stephanie Hoff.
As Wisconsin has a fish fry on a Friday night, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Increasing clouds tonight, slight storm chance, low around 60. For tomorrow, more humid, partly sunny, isolated storms, muggy highs in the low 80s. Mid-80s Friday, scattered storms. Some storms still possible Saturday, dry and pleasant Sunday. Currently at 79.
Veterans, have you explored your benefits lately? As in, really looked at them? Veterans who bravely served our country deserve the benefits they've earned and life-saving support when they need it. We know that no one can do this alone, and we're stronger when we work together. The Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs stands ready to serve Wisconsin veterans, their families, and their survivors. With our network of partners like your local county veteran service officer, we can help connect veterans with services such as education, employment, mental health services, veteran ID, long-term care, and more. We stand ready to serve you. For more information, call 1-800-WIS-VETS
About 30 seconds.
or
Thank
visit
you.
WIS.
morning, and welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. Aaron Zommers behind the board here in our last half hour together on a Wednesday, July 9th, 2025, 35 past 3. Glad to have you here on a Wednesday, again, up in the Northern Wisconsin State Fair tomorrow, along with Pat Kreitlow. Looking forward to nervous anticipation to that. Cannot wait. So be joining us tomorrow. Going to get into a little bit of a film talk. New film office. Haven't seen a Wisconsin film and television office since the days of Tommy George Thompson in the governor's office. Going to talk about that in a minute, but first I just want to clean up a couple of things in aisle 2 in terms of news. Talked a little bit yesterday about immigration. I don't want to repeat all of that. Gave you my feelings on that. But here now, and this I found this clip and I want to play it for you today. I think this is from yesterday. And this is the Attorney General of Arizona, Chris Mays. Chris Mays, Attorney General of Arizona, holding a press conference and was asked about these ICE Homeland Security deportation details that are going around the country wreaking havoc. And they keep using these masks, basically gaiters. A gaiter is a piece of cloth that goes around your neck, but it's like a tube, and then they pull it up. I mean, they're legit things that people use, I guess, when they hike or ski or something.
Yeah, it's a Gaiter, not Gator.
Right. Thank you. Yes. A piece of cloth gaiter. But now these ICE people, or people who claim to be ICE, and I say that because it has been reported now that Homeland Security under Donald Trump and Kristi Noem are going after bounty hunters. Bounty hunting is illegal in Wisconsin, places like Texas, other states. There's a business for this. There was like a reality show, wasn't there, for a while? Who is that guy?
I'm the dog.
Yeah, that's
the
it.
big
Dog.
bad dog.
That's right.
All right. Bounty hunter.
All right. Dog the bounty hunter. That was like big on cable, I think, for a while. Wasn't it?
It was on a lot.
It was on way too much. So what they're doing is they're finding these bounty hunters and they're paying them, and this is just sick. The Trump administration is paying these bounty hunters $1,000 to $1,500 per person to come in and to bring in undocumented people. And so these people are using these gaiter masks because they're so ashamed and embarrassed about what they're doing, they don't want people to know who they are. They're claiming that, I'm going to be doxxed. I'm going to be doxxed. Doxxed just means that it happens in the real world, such as like an elected official that somebody doesn't like. They'll call in a quote-unquote emergency on 911 and give that legislator or elected official's home, and then emergency people arrive, and I guess that's swatting technically, and there's no real emergency. Or they'll give out personal information and the person gets swamped with, harassed, basically. That's their claim. Well, it's not really happening. They're just embarrassed because they're going after brown people, many of whom have been arrested are American citizens. So Attorney General of Arizona, Chris Mays, was asked about. Now here, I'm playing this because this is what you want in an attorney general. She ain't taking anything from anybody. She puts it out there. This is great. This is Attorney General Chris Mays of Arizona.
I am really disturbed by the tactics that we are seeing in some other states, including the one to our west, by ICE and Border Patrol and others to mask themselves when they're engaged in immigration enforcement. I have expressed that dissatisfaction already to ICE. I have told them I don't want to see it in the state of Arizona. And I have told them and reminded them that pretty much no other law enforcement agencies in the state of Arizona, including mine, mask themselves when they are engaged in law enforcement. Now, there are certain undercover operations where masking is necessary, but it is extremely rare. Extremely rare. And what law enforcement tells me, both in this building and outside this building is that it is a dangerous situation. Yeah, I had a conversation with them a couple weeks back and didn't get anywhere. I mean, they just said that that's their policy, that they're afraid of doxing, and I told them I thought that was bullshit.
Now that's putting it down there where the chickens can get at it. She just flat out says what Homeland Security and ICE is telling me is BS. BS, period. I think that's great. That's the kind of attorney general you need. Somebody who is not afraid, somebody who's going to call a spade and say, this is what's really going on, and it's ridiculous. Kudos, applause to Attorney General Chris Mays of Arizona. That's real leadership right there, and I applaud her for that. In other news, before we move on, and this is from the It Never Ceases to Amaze Me column, Donald Trump held a so-called cabinet meeting. I say so-called because it's like Kim Jong-un. He just has people sit around the table and say how great he is. And so he had one of these yesterday. He had the press there, and he got off on this tangent. This is the president of the United States. People are missing in Texas still due to these terrible floods, have died. You've got tariffs out of control now. I mean, and Donald Trump wants to sit there and talk about the moldings in the cabinet room. This is real, unedited, yesterday from Donald Trump.
Painted the room a nice color, beige color, and it's been really something. The only question is, will I gold leaf the corners? You could maybe tell me my cabinet could take a vote. You see the top line moldings, and the only question is, do you gold leaf it? Because you can't paint it. If you paint it, it won't look good because they've never found a paint that looks like gold. You see that in the Oval Office. They've tried for years and years. Somebody could become very wealthy, but they've never found a paint that looks like gold. So painting it is easy, but it won't look right. And the question is whether or not we should gold leaf it. Linda, do you have an opinion?
I gold leaf it.
You like it the way?
No, I gold leaf.
You'd gold leaf it?
Yeah.
Who would gold leaf it? Could I raise you? How about, would you gold leaf it?
He is asking the cabinet, full bird secretaries of government agencies, to take a vote on whether they think he ought to gold leaf the crown moldings in the cabinet room of the White House.
My favorite part is that since it's a video, you can see Marco Rubio sitting to Trump's right, just trying to keep a straight face and pretend life isn't real. And Pete Hegseth sitting to his left, like smiling and trying not to smile too big. When Pete Hegseth thinks you're an idiot, you've really gone off the rails.
I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, that all of this glam that he's put up, Trump has in the Oval Office, someone found the exact molding from, I mean, it was either Walmart or Home Depot. You know, you can go to like the Home Depot and you go and they have like prefab, some are plastic, some are, or I don't know, whatever, but they're plaster or plastic. And someone found one of these, either Walmart or Home Depot, I can't remember which, that's plastic. And so clearly he took plastic, or his people did, and spray painted it gold. And that's what he's put up in the White House, in the Oval Office. And he claims that that's actually gold leaf. This guy is the grifter of all grifters, the fraud of all frauds, the facade of all facades. And it just never ceases to amaze me. I don't play a lot of Trump clips anymore, but I thought that one in particular. When I heard that, I'm just like, what do people around the world think? What does the Prime Minister of the UK?
I think they would have written
of
us
France.
off long ago, honestly.
Oh yeah, right. But it's just, this is the President of the United States, and again, when Barack Obama was president and he had the audacity to wear a tan suit, Republicans went apoplectic out of the disrespect, in their opinion, that he showed by wearing a tan suit. And this guy, Trump, is holding cabinet meetings on the crown moldings of the White House. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You just simply cannot. 45 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. You're listening to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. Closer to home. Here we go. Lighten it up a little bit. This is from Fox 6 in Milwaukee. Wisconsin state budget passes new film and television incentives. Now, this is great. It says, what we know. Governor Tony Evers signed the state budget for the 25-27 years, biennial years, into law last week, and it could be a game changer for filmmakers. Now, I can't wait to hear what our friend Pete Schwaba says about this on Nightlight. He is a filmmaker himself. Most television shows and movies are filmed in California. California. Georgia, people don't know that Atlanta has a big film industry now. Or outside the country, often due to tax incentives and diverse locations. But now, more television and movies keyword could, soon be on the way to the Badger State. When Evers signed the budget last week, it included a victory for Wisconsin filmmakers. It established a state film office within the Wisconsin Department of Tourism and launched a $5 million tax incentive program for film and television productions to be shot in the state. It received bipartisan support before the governor signed it into law. Nathan Deming is a writer and director based in Eau Claire and Los Angeles. Said, quote, it was kind of like a movie in the way it played out. It was out of the budget. It was back in the budget. We're just at this historical moment, basically, where the jobs are leaving Hollywood and they're going around the globe, wherever these tax incentives are, unquote. While working on his own projects, he advocated for this change. Deming said, quote, when productions come to town, they spend a lot of money. Locals are happy. Local businesses are happy, unquote. Before the budget was signed, advocates say Wisconsin was one of 13 states without film incentives and one of 3 without a state film office. Advocates say it put filmmakers in Wisconsin at a disadvantage. Susan Jerva has helped create Oscar-winning films seen by millions around the globe. She believes the funding for the incentives will be available in January of next year and said it will not be a handout. Jervis said, quote, we need to stay competitive. What a film office does, it's the first touch and look for producers, studios, directors when they're trying to find a place to shoot their film, unquote. Again, some of it's been around long enough. Tommy Thompson, the legislature back in the late 80s, 90s, created a film office, and that it was eventually the new breed of cat Republicans that killed it and defunded it. So now they're bringing it back. Good on Governor Evers. Good on the bipartisan support in the legislature. Come on back. Wrap things after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You know, the movies were probably too woke.
Night. This
Right.
is the Civic Media
They had like
Radio Network.
too many women or people of color in them.
No, they just saw it as like
My perfect
frivolous
day
or
is
whatever.
sand,
I don't
salt,
know.
water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out
They
of
didn't
the
want to
moment.
recognize the
Now I'm
economic
all in with clearer
impact.
Skin, thanks to Sky Rizzy. Rizin Kism
Even though
actives
all they care about is
prescription
economic
only
impact.
100%
Right.
injection
So that's what they
for adults
claim.
or
That's what
candidates
they
for
claim.
systemic
But also
or
your genitals.
phototherapy. With Sky Rizzy, most people saw
And which
90%
bathroom you're
clearer
using.
skin, and many were
Just so
even
they know where you are so they
100%
can go there.
plaque-free at 4 months. Sky Rizzy is
Heather
just 4
says,
doses a year after
but he just said there's no, there is no paint that looks like gold. I know, exactly.
Increased infections or lower ability to
He
fight
says
them may
that,
occur
but yet they use
before
paint
treatment
in
gets
the
checked for
Oval Office.
infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Sky Rizzy, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Sky Rizzy, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Sky
That they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Sky Rizzy to learn more.
always a good time when you stop in at Ooga Brewing in Beaver Dam. You're invited to a celebration of craft brews and live music as Ooga Brewing presents the first Grains and Grooves Music Festival July 10th to the 13th. This new experience has something for everyone. Rock, acoustic vibes, jazz, and blues, including a rare performance from Aaron Williams and the Hoodoo. Saturday night, July 12th at 7. Ooga Brewing Company, 301 South Spring Street, part of Beaver Dam's vibrant downtown.
This is Chad Spate. Are you thinking about improving your home? At Chad's Design Build, we're proud to offer remodeling done well with love. And our commitments to you and your home convey that love and spell our name. The Chad's experience is structured to provide excellent communication, honesty, accuracy, detailed proposals, and satisfied customers. We're also committed to making your home comfortable, healthy, attractive, durable, and sustainable. If you want a quality remodel and a quality remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard, aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Win a pair of Brewers tickets from 92.7 WMDX and Downprints Distilling. See the Brew Crew take on the Cubs with John and Gordy, July 29th at AmFam Field.
One lucky listener will win a pair of tickets and sit next
30
to
seconds.
us.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. 8 minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock at the top of the hour. ABC, CBS, or James Kelly News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to, followed by a check of weather. And then it's Mike Clemens with a sports report, a great sports reporter. Mike Clemens, at last check, the Brewers were still trailing the LA Dodgers. It is now the top of the ninth. Dodgers 2, Milwaukee 1. Got to get a run, guys, here in the ninth inning. That game on many of our Civic Media stations right now around the state of Wisconsin. And then coming up after the sports report, it is the Maggie Dawn Show with Maggie Dawn every afternoon from 4 until 6, followed by our friend Pete Schwaba in our Green Bay studios, WGBW. Pete Schwaba and Nightlight. Great program. Great folks up there. Appreciate everything Pete and Conrad are doing. And you can listen to their show tonight between 6 and 8. Always. Speaking of entertainment, right? That's always fantastic. So
I'm sure he'll be talking about the film bill.
Yeah, very likely to do so. So we shall see. Back on this, we were talking about this gold leafing. Play this cut from President Trump. Debating whether they should put gold leaf in the Oval Office. Heather watching up in beautiful Eau Claire says, because I said that they've been proven now that Trump basically took a cheap plastic or plaster mold into this ornate stuff that looks ornate in the Oval Office, and they just spray painted it. Heather says, but he said there is no paint that looks like gold. I can't even. And Miss Linda up in Richland Center, listening to WRCE and via Facebook, says Frank Lloyd Wright used gold leaf paint. It's very expensive. Ooh, I did not know.
The key there, it does exist.
Right. But what we're talking about here is actual gold leaf paint, like gold leafing. What Trump is doing, they're just taking spray paint and spraying it on. It's a fraud, I tell you. All right, we mentioned this earlier. Our friend and colleague Jane Matnair and Greg Bach, by the way, speaking of trips, we're doing our show tomorrow from the Northern Wisconsin State Fair tomorrow and Friday. But next week, hang on to your hats and hallelujah. Mama Jane is going to do it to you. It's a paraphrase of a line from Gypsy. Great musical gypsy. Going to be singing a lot of show tunes with Jane and Greg and I. We're hitting the road. Well, from us, for Zommers and I, we're going to, on Tuesday, we're going to be coming to you live from the Rockette studio in Radio City Hall Park down in Racine. Going to do our show there. And then we're getting on the Bluebird bus, and we're going to be taking the show on the road to Oshkosh on Wednesday, Butternut on Thursday, and Hayward on Friday. Cannot wait for that. Jane and Greg were talking about this. I said earlier about the TSA news. Never let it be said that one person cannot make a difference. Case in point, Richard Reed. In 2001, Mr. Reed put explosives in his shoes and boarded an American airline flight from Paris to Miami. Reed's attempt at terrorism failed. But thanks to him, for 20 years, we've had to remove our shoes to get through airport security. But now the Transportation Security Administration, better known as TSA, plans to let us keep our shoes and go through security. The policy change will take effect at major airports first before being extended to all airports. However, if there's a metal in your shoes and it triggers the magnometer, you're still going to have to take them off. Meanwhile, Richard Reed is cooling his heels, doing a life sentence in a federal prison in Colorado. How about that? One idiot like Richard Reed tries to do explosives, and for 20 years, we've had to take off our shoes. So it's the little things in life. You understand? It's the little things. If we don't, because it's uncomfortable, and then some people have bad socks and it's smelly. And it's always, I always feel like you have to rush putting them back on, and you don't want to hold up the traffic or the line or what have you. So anyway, that's what we got in foot news today. How about that?
I hope this doesn't become a recurring bit. Foot news.
Foot news. No, we will not make foot news a recurring bit here on the show. Great show today. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, this weekend for our listeners on WMDX, the Dane County Fair is also going to be going on as well. Not this weekend, next weekend, I think it is. Let me take a look here. Now that I said it right, it's at the Alliant Energy Center. And I know some of our people are going to be out there. Yeah, it's next weekend. But we're going to have a booth out there for WMDX. So come out and see the folks who are going to be at the Dane County Fair coming up.
I've never been.
Never been to the Dane County Fair? It's fair. It's not great. It's just fair. Many thanks, everybody. Here we have late breaking news. Late breaking news. Trygve Olsen with a minute left in the show says my flight was delayed and I just landed.
Well, I'm glad he's there safe.
Well, thanks, Trygve. We appreciate that. Well, I'm glad as Zommer said, I'm glad he got there safely. Well, many thanks to Pat Kreitlow for showing up today. Always appreciate him. We'll talk to Pat tomorrow up at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. And many thanks to Zommers as well, doing a great job on the board, and all of you for listening and calling in. It is a privilege. It is an honor, and I never forget that. Every day that we're privileged to be here on the air is one I do not take for granted, because you never know where it all might end. So you got to be grateful for every single day. Grateful for all of you. Grateful for Zommers. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next. Until tomorrow, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. We'll see you from the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. Goodbye, everybody. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.